guys, Ashley Elizabeth here with AHM Artistry, and it's about time that I update you guys with all of my cruelty-free drugstore foundations that I did. I did 7 days of cruelty-free drugstore foundations in February, and I told you guys, actually first I asked you guys if you'd be interested in an update as I was trying them throughout the month, and you guys said yes. So now I'm finally here to update you, and I actually did a ranking system too. I did bunnies, of course, because cruelty-free, hello, super cute. So on a scale of 1 to 5, where each of these lie, they'll either get 1 bunny, 1.5, 5 bunnies, who knows? Now, if you haven't watched my 7 days of cruelty-free drugstore foundation, stop right here, go watch it right up here. Those are all first impressions of what I think with 8-hour wear tests. And if you need a refresher, if you did watch that series, thank you so much for your support in watching them all with me. And I'll pop right here the criteria that I used in case you need a refresher about, you know, what I did, because I kept it an even playing field. Moving to testing it out throughout the month, I changed and moved around primers that I used and techniques that I used, sponges, brushes, whatever, depending on how I felt they would perform, setting, not setting, everything like that. So it gets a little more in depth here. And I will also include a video of a fresh face of this stuff up and close, since I do have a new lighting system and I wanted to get some more up close shots for you. So as I'm talking about each foundation, I will pop up the most recent shot of me wearing the foundation. Does that make sense? So you can see it all up nice and close and easy. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and see which drugstore foundations ranked worst to best. Let's go ahead and get the worst out of the way.
Ew.
If you want to take a second and guess which one my least favorite is, it probably is not a surprise to you guys. Go and comment really quickly what the worst one is, and go ahead and make a prediction of what the best one is. I'll list up right here all the foundations that I'm doing. Okay, you got it? You got the best and the worst? Okay, let's see if you were right. My most hated, and I'm gonna use the word hate because I really, really hated it, is the Burts Bees Goodness Glows Foundation. Oh, no surprise there, right? You little foundation are getting 1 bunny, and the only reason why you're getting 1 bunny is because your packaging is gorgeous. It has to be my favorite packaging of this 7-day set, but it ends there, unfortunately. It is the most expensive foundation. If you do recall, it's at least $15, so right at that max price. Some stores actually sell it for more than Walmart, but it is just all around terrible. So I have a little criteria, and I'm telling you guys how I'm ranking these as well. Packaging, obviously super cute. They should have taken as much time as they do on the packaging with what actually went inside the bottle, because it just didn't match. The price is high for a drugstore, one of the most expensive ones. So it really feels like you're paying for the packaging. The smell, if you do recall, it's awful. It smells just not good, kind of like stale laundry, just like weird. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I'm gonna make myself smell again. Kind of like drywall and laundry. It's very weird, like dirty laundry, not nice fresh laundry. It's just not. Ease of use, blendable, nope. Blends to almost nothing, so it feels like it's kind of thick-ish liquid, so it definitely feels like it's, oh, okay, this is going fine, and then all of a sudden it's not going fine, it's not blendable, it's sticking and clinging to pores and just doing weird things. Once it's all blended out, your first layer, it's like, where's the coverage? Where'd you go? Hello, where are you? It says it's supposed to be full coverage also, so excuse me. And then it just brings out the texture and pores like crazy. It makes my skin so textured. And then I have cons on here in case there's any other ones. I mean, it's pretty obvious I hate it. Just makes my skin look so sickly, and it could be that the shade isn't quite right for me, but regardless, even if the shade was right, my skin just looks like it's been through it. It just looks like it is just not good. It just looks like I have really, really, really awful skin. Now, I did try this with the Too Faced Hangover RX primer because I felt like it looked so dry and it dried down so quickly that I needed that moisture, but it didn't help. I used it with a dampened beauty blender. It didn't help. I wanted to wash it off as soon as I put it on. Like, it was not enjoyable. It was not enjoyable. So if you like this, that's awesome that it works for somebody. That is super cool. I'm jealous because, like I said, the bottle is so cute. It is glass, and I wish that I can use it, but it is what it is. So I'm just here letting you guys know how things work for my skin. All right, second to worst is the NYX Stay Matte Not Flat Foundation. This one got 2 bunnies. And I was surprised. I pretty much love everything that NYX comes out with, but hey, they can't win them all, right? And you know what? With a full disclaimer saying that somebody with super oily skin might love this. I know, I'm crazy. I have dry skin and I picked something that said Stay Matte Not Flat. However, matte foundations I can usually do okay with if I tweak it a bit. However, even with my super hydrating base and setting, it just didn't work for me. How I used this one with the Hangover RX primer, which is super moisturizing with that coconut infused water. I used Shape Tape instead of the UD concealer. So Shape Tape is a lot more hydrating for my under eyes. Beauty blender, and then I only set it with the Urban Decay Chill Setting Spray. This little guy right here. I didn't use any powder and it still looked super dry and patchy on me. The packaging is good. It's portable. However, I noticed when I was using it that I had to use a lot in order to get coverage. So it was blendable and buildable, but you had to build it up a lot. And then as you're building it, it starts to cling to dry patches and pores too. And that just isn't so cute. And the smell is kind of like paint, not super intense, but just a little bit there, which I know some foundations can have that odor. So 2 bunnies for that one because I can see how it would work better for oily skin. Somebody with oily skin might give this 4 bunnies. Leave it in the comments below if you do like this one, if this is your go-to. Oh, also it seems like, you know, it does come with 1.18 ounces, but I think you have to use so much that it's almost more like a 0.5 ounce bottle, if that makes sense, because it's just, you just have to use so much to get coverage. Next is the Healthy Foundations from Physicians Formula. I'm kind of sad. I had to go ahead and give this one a 2.5 bunny star after using it more. It's hard. It's about a 2.5. It was almost, I actually had this one as a 4. This was actually one of my top favorites after doing the series, but then I started using it again and I realized it burns my eyes like crazy and it does have a very strong smell. It's just, it's so intense. It's not a paint smell. It's definitely like, I don't know, my dad's a contractor, so it's like when I would go to his work and he's doing things with drywall and painting, and it's super, super strong, super odory, and it's just not a good situation. So unfortunately for that smell reason and for the fact that it burned my eyes every single time I used it, and I would use my Shape Tape here, it would go maybe up to here is where the foundation would go to, and it would still burn and sting my eyes. So I don't know if it's the smell or whatever, but it just wasn't good for me. Some people might be totally fine with this though, and this might be a 4 or maybe even 5 bunny rated product because overall it performed very well and it was good. As you can see in the video here, it does look really nice on my skin. I do like that. The packaging is adorable. I absolutely love it. And I love the applicator. Love it. It's just as thick as Shape Tape, so it's super easy to apply. The price is a higher end foundation. You can get it down to about $11 at some locations, and you do get a lot of product for it, and a little does go a long way. And it was super buildable, blendable, especially with that handy wand applicator. And then I loved using it with my Too Faced Hangover RX primer, and then I actually layered the Spotlight primer on top of it because the Too Faced Hangover RX primer is more almost like a really, really thin lotion than a silicone primer. I was able to put the Spotlight primer on top of that to give that dewy glow from within. And I used my beauty blender with the Shape Tape, and then I used regular setting powder or the Shade Light palette. Both looked really good with it, and then I topped it off with my setting spray. So the only really bad thing, and maybe I shouldn't give it only 2.5 bunnies, but I can't go on recommending it if it's just, it might be called Healthy Foundations, but something is in it that ain't good. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry, but it just burns my eyes and it stinks. I don't know. Next is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Foundation. This one has 3 bunnies. I gave it, you know, because it's you know, medium. Yeah, I'd say it's medium. It almost can take it there, but there's a couple things that it falls short on. Starting with the packaging is sleek, pretty. I like it. It is a glass container and a pump bottle. I like that. However, I did notice because of the black packaging against the foundation shade, the foundation looks different than what it actually is. Like, it's almost darker, and this foundation was not an exact match for me. I don't know if you can tell on that, and probably not, but when I look at it, it looks darker when I actually take it out of the package. So it's hard to shade match in a place that doesn't have testers. The price is good. All of these, I mean, most of them, there's only 2 that I don't think that the price is exceptionally good, but the price on that one is good for what it is. The smell is actually nice. I went to like actually smell it and I was like, oh, it kind of has like a light fruity scent, so it's actually quite enjoyable. It's very nice in that regard. Ease of use and blendability, I would say it's mostly easy to use. It does dry pretty quick, so just know that going in that you kind of have to work a little bit fast to make sure it's nice and blended and not staining any areas, because it is quite pigmented, which is nice. Now some cons I listed on this. Up close, the foundation almost has that separation look where it's sitting on top of the skin and it looks like it's just not going to have a good wear time. However, in cameras and from far away, it looks beautiful. I actually thought this was one of the best looking foundations on my thumbnails, and the pictures that I took for my thumbnails, I was like, oh, maybe it's not that bad. But it's just when you get up close and then it just starts looking odd, looking weird, and with that comes not as long of a wear time, but for the first few hours from far away in pictures, it was pretty good. I have to say I did make a mistake talking in the video, but I did put in comments in that video that I made the mistake. I thought that the 01 Creamy Vanilla that I got was the lightest shade. However, there are 2 or 3 lighter shades, which is awesome because this shade was a tad too dark for me. I'm actually wearing it right now. Right now it actually looks okay because I used my Shape Tape concealer, which is a little bit lighter, and it blended really nicely. This would probably be the perfect shade for me in the summer, but it was good to know. So thank you who told me, hey, there's a couple more shades in that one. So thank you for helping us out, because the store that I went to was either sold out the other ones or they just didn't have it, and I didn't even notice that there were lighter ones. So with that one, I used the Hangover RX Beauty Blender Shape Tape, a little bit of Laura Mercier setting powder just underneath the eyes, and just shade light everywhere else. And that is the finish that I got with that. Okay, now moving on, the next 2 are 4 bunny stars. So starting with LA Girl. The packaging is a complete dupe for the original Makeup Forever HD foundations, which are not cruelty free. So I actually think the packaging is a little bit cuter on this one because it has LA Girl ingrained into the plastic right there. So it's a little bit of a step up. The price is good for what you get. The smell is kind of like a traditional foundation smell. Not super painty, but not super perfumey either. It just kind of smells like foundation. Ease of use, blendability. This was very easy to use, very blendable. If you did use the Makeup Forever HD foundation, it's very similar to that. And it is one of the most pigmented foundations out of these 7 that I tried. So I was impressed with that, and for that reason, the price is awesome because you get good pigmentation, easy to blend, it's very liquidy but not too runny, so very easy to work with. Now I do have a couple cons, so that's what makes this not a full 5 bunny product. It did settle a little bit odd after a few hours on my skin, so that was a bummer. It didn't matter. I used a couple different primers and techniques and it still had that. My favorite technique was my Too Faced Hangover RX primer, and this one I did the optical blurring brush. I think I liked the best, but I also could use a beauty blender, and they were both pretty good. But for some reason, this just accentuates pores and fine lines after a couple hours. So I'm not too happy about that. That's why I tried a different primer with it, because I thought maybe if I use like a pore minimizing primer, it would help, but it really did it for me. But for some people, this might work and it might be 5 bunnies. 4 bunnies, I think is still pretty good. It's a pretty good foundation. I wouldn't be scared to use it again. I enjoyed it. I didn't love how it looked after a few hours. So could be other setting techniques I can use to help it stay looking that way to take it to a 5 bunny. The next 4 bunny one is Hard Candy Glamouflage Foundation. Is anybody as surprised as I am? This was, I think, the cheapest one. The packaging is super cute. It's plasticky, so it's easy to travel with, obviously. Price is great. It's the cheapest one, and it's not diluted. It is pretty thick and it's pretty pigmented. The smell, though, is what takes it. I mean, a couple of things make it not a 5-star. The smell is one of them. It's a very strong paint smell, so you kind of get reminded why it's on the lower end price. Ease of use and blendability, good. It blends well, and there is a good amount of pigment for a drugstore foundation. Now, the LA Girl did have more pigment, but this one did just overall look better and last longer on my skin type and skin texture. It wasn't too dry, but it is a thicker product, so I can see how some people might not love the consistency and it might separate on oily skin. I can see how it could go wrong with the wrong primers or applications. If you use the wrong primer with this, it would be separation city and not good. And I know that can sound kind of contradicting because this is a 4 bunny product that I I decided that it was, but I can see how some people might have trouble working with it. I didn't, I like it, but I can see where it goes. Does that make sense? So what I used to make this work for me is the Too Faced Hangover RX Primer. Love that stuff, as you can tell. The Urban Decay and the Shape Tape both worked good. The Urban Decay All Nighter Concealer worked a little bit better, so I tended to use that one more as it did dry down itself. And I used an optical blurring brush to apply this, and I liked that best. When I used a sponge, either the Beauty Blender or the Real Technique sponge, it just took away too much product and I wanted to keep it nice full coverage. So in order to get that, I did have to use a brush for this. And then I only used the Kat Von D Shade Light to set it. My regular setting powders were just too much, dried it out. I just needed a little touch of something and it was perfect. So I was definitely surprised that this was one of the top. So if you guessed it right, ooh, you are awesome. My favorite was the Mega Cushion Foundation from Wet n Wild. I was so surprised this one was my favorite. I mean, not so surprised. Wet n Wild makes really good products, but it's more of a geared towards a light to medium coverage, which I don't particularly gravitate to. And maybe it's not fair because all the other ones are pretty much either full or there's some mediums. This is actually the only lightweight one. But some of the other ones should have been labeled more of a light to medium, and this one actually was, which I like that they didn't have false claims, false advertising. So with that being said, this got 4.5 bunnies, and I know, how come you can't just give it 5 bunnies? Ooh. But the only reason why it didn't get a full 5 bunnies is because although I love the packaging, it's super cute, super easy to transport, there's no way of knowing when you're getting low, and I feel like I could do half my face on this and run out, and I wouldn't have known that, hey, you're about to run out, because you kind of have to like really press into it to get the liquid to come out. Also feel like it's not gonna last that long. I think I've used this one probably 4 or 5 times, and I can tell there's a little spotting going on, which means I probably am getting low, and I do run the risk of doing half my face with foundation and the other half without. But with that being said, I'm gonna tell you why it deserves the 4.5 stars. Basically, this foundation gave my skin the look that it was my skin but better. It almost made my skin just look like a healthier version of itself. It covered just enough to, you know, conceal a little bit of the imperfections, but without looking fake. So I still had my freckles, but it was like, it just evened out my skin tone. The price is good. I think the price is pretty good, except there's only a half an ounce in here, and like I said, I feel like I can use it up pretty quickly, so that's the only reason why I didn't give it a full 5 bunnies. So I could see that I'd have to repurchase this one often. If I use this one every day, I think I would have to be purchasing this at least once a month, which to me is just too much. So the price starts to come into question at that point, but I mean, it was still only $8.99. They might be able to do this for $6.99, and I would be a little less skeptical of it, but the smell is almost non-existent. It's almost like a fresh, like just out of the shower smell, if that makes sense. Like just clean, not any paint smells, not any perfumes, just really nice. As far as ease of use and blendability goes, it is very easy to use, very blendable. It's also buildable to about a medium coverage. I can't really get it past a medium coverage, and then I would just go in with my Shape Tape concealer anyways, but a nice light to medium coverage. So when I do this, is I do it on days that I don't really have to do much, but I still have to go out with my toddler, like to go to swim lessons or go grocery shopping, something that I just want a little bit of something and a little glow, but don't want to do the whole beat face situation. I could just pop this on super quickly and my skin just looks really healthy and nice. So other than the one like maybe price per amount of uses you get out of it, that's my only con for this one. So, and that I felt only deserved a half a bunny deduction. My favorite way to use this is probably no surprise, Too Faced Hangover RX Primer, Beauty Blender. I actually used the original Too Faced Prime and Poreless powder to just very lightly dust it up, because that gives me more of a glowy finish and it's not too dry either. And then I did use the Urban Decay Chill for when I wanted it more of a medium coverage, but if I just wanted light coverage, I wouldn't even bother. Okay, loves, that is it. That is a wrap for my first round of 7 days of cruelty-free drugstore foundations. If you found my channel and you are new here, please go down and hit that little subscribe button and you will get notified as soon as I post another video. I post 2 to 3 times a week, and I do these series videos occasionally too. And I'm about to start filming another round of cruelty-free drugstore something kind of makeup. So you want to get notified as soon as I start posting those, because they're 7 days in a row and you don't want to be left behind. And if you are not new here, thank you so much for your support. If you watched all these foundation videos, thank you so much, and thank you for sticking it out. Thanks for watching the update video while I tested this out for the month. I hope that answered some more questions, because sometimes first impressions, although can be informative and good, sometimes we might change our mind as we're using them, and the one that comes to mind is this one. That's just because I can't handle it, but maybe some people can. So again, thank you all so much for watching. It is St. Patrick's Day, if you can't tell from my eyes, and I'm just being lazy-bazy today. I got the crock pot going. I just made some Rice Krispie treats and I gotta go decorate them with chocolate and green stuff, and we are gonna just relax. I got some pub cream ale too. It's so good. So you guys have a great, lovely day.